welcome back to Presley Mania. Thank you so much for joining me today. I was going to go over some more of the lawsuit between Elvis Presley Enterprises and Bridget Cruz and go over Angie Marchese's deposition, but I decided to take a different turn. We'll get into that when I get back from Elvis Week, but Priscilla has come out with, or she posted a review about her book that's coming out, and it's a little different take than what we have heard before. Some of you may have seen this posted on Facebook, but for those of you who haven't, I thought I would read it to you and we could talk about or I can talk about what I feel concerning this. I've got a lot of not good thoughts and almost to the point that I want to read the book, but I dread reading it because if it's anything like what is in this review, I know I'm not going to like it. Not one little bit. So, I want to go over that with you. And also, if any of you are going to be at Elvis Week, I intend to get there probably on Tuesday. So I hope to see some of you and meet some of you there. So be sure if you see me around, come up, say hi, introduce yourself. I would love to see you and talk to you and get to know who some of you are through more than just, our conversations back and forth on YouTube. So that would be wonderful. And I hope to see some of you at Elvis Week. Okay, let's get into this. This review was written on Booklist, and Priscilla put this on her Instagram. And the issue date for the book is, the issue date of this review was August 1st of 2025. And here we go. This engaging memoir finds Presley just as her first marriage is ending, the new mother and heartbroken 27-year-old terrified of striking out on her own after devoting half of her life to Elvis. Okay. Two things become apparent as this multifaceted and accomplished woman, now 80, shares important milestones from the 5 decades since that time. First, Priscilla will always be a person thrust into unimaginable fame and relentless public scrutiny. And second, she remains fiercely loyal to Elvis and his continuing legacy. She expresses endless gratitude to members of the Presley family and to the many mentors who helped her realize her business enterprises, charities, acting career, and her successful efforts to save Graceland from financial ruin. These warm sentiments turn dark only when she talks about mean-spirited people who wronged her loved ones. She's especially vocal about Michael Jackson exploiting her daughter, Lisa Marie. Priscilla sets the record straight on many of the seemingly never-ending tabloid stories, candidly discussing her relationships with her kids and grandchildren, plus marriages, divorces, substance abuse, Scientology rumors, money squabbles, and legal wranglings. She also weighs in on the depictions of her in recent movies. Well, that's going to be an interesting thing. The King and all things Elvis remain as popular as ever, so expect lots of demand. High demand backstory. It's been 40 years since the release of Presley's best-selling Elvis and Me, especially on the heels of Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough's blockbuster From Here to the Great Unknown. Readers are primed and ready to hear from Priscilla again, and it was written by Kathleen McBroom. Okay, well, there is a lot here to unpack. First of all, new mother, yeah, she was, and heartbroken. Somehow, that's not ringing true to me at all. Did she seem heartbroken to y'all? when she went to Graceland, according to Jerry Schilling's book, and packed up her stuff and took Lisa Marie in the car, and Lisa's not wanting to go. And I'm sorry. I don't think Priscilla was heartbroken. And I don't think that leaving Elvis was to find herself. I'm just not buying any of that. Um, it's just the narrative is always and has always been with her about herself, you know, finding herself, knowing who she really was, painting Elvis in a light that isn't flattering. So I'm really nervous about reading that part, and especially when you consider that this is supposed to be life after Elvis. And I've said this many times before on several of my YouTube shows that the title alone, Softly as I Leave You, is pulled off of a song that Elvis recorded. I know Elvis wasn't the original recorder of that song, but it was pulled from a title of a song he recorded. And what was so softly about her leaving him? I don't think it was anything like that at all. I just, I know a lot of you are going to say, but you weren't there. You don't know. But I was alive during this time when she did leave him. I do remember it. I was a kid, but I remember all of that. And I'm just I'm not getting that. Being heartbroken and terrified of striking out on her own. What was terrifying about it? You had his money. You had the promise that he was always going to take care of you and Lisa. He would have never left his daughter high and dry. Not ever. So if that meant to take care of his daughter, he had to take care of Priscilla too, which I can't imagine Elvis not doing that. He was so generous and kind. But she already had somebody waiting on her. She and Mike Stone were already having an affair, correct? And she left Elvis and they were already together. What was terrifying about it? I don't get that. Two things become apparent as this multifaceted and accomplished woman, now 80, shares important milestones from the 5 decades since that time. Yeah, she was thrust into unimaginable fame and relentless public scrutiny. But let's unpack that a little bit. She has lived off of his fame. Had she divorced him, raised Lisa, and not come back and played the part of the widow when she was his ex-wife, she wouldn't have been thrust into this fame. I think Priscilla wanted it. She wanted to be remembered as the only person that Elvis ever married. Albeit, he was supposedly engaged to Ginger Alden. So, how much more would that have changed had that event happened? Priscilla wouldn't be looked at the same way. I think she wanted that fame. She wanted all of it. She wanted the money. She wanted the fame. She wanted to be remembered as the one and only who married Elvis. She wanted to be remembered, or wants to be remembered, as the one who gave birth to his only child. Okay? So the fact that she has been thrust into fame and relentless public scrutiny, she brought that on herself, I think. I mean, I really do. She could have gone off quietly into the night, but she didn't do it. Expresses endless gratitude to members of the Presley family. Well, I don't know who that is. And to the many mentors who helped her realize her business enterprises. She may be talking about here, well, she's certainly not talking about all of the Presley family. The business enterprises, maybe she's talking about the fact that Vernon signed over, and made her a trustee of Lisa's trust right before he passed away. But I could go on for days upon days talking about how I think that came about. And yeah, it is completely my opinion and no one else's. And remember, this video is for entertainment purposes only. So everything that you hear here on this segment is my opinion going through what is said in this book review. Her successful efforts to save Graceland from financial ruin. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. As we know, Graceland was not going to go into financial ruin. Something was going to be done about it. There was already a plan in place. Vernon had already talked to Jimmy Velvet about opening Graceland up as a museum. There's no way at all that Graceland would have gone into ruin and would have been forgotten about. No, I don't believe that either. Warm sentiments turn dark only when she talks about mean-spirited people who wronged her loved ones. Well, I guess I'm probably one of those mean-spirited people, although I've never wronged any of her loved ones. She's especially vocal about Michael Jackson exploiting her daughter, Lisa Marie. I wonder if Priscilla read Lisa's book. I wonder if she's heard what Riley has said about Michael Jackson. Because, you can think whatever you want to regarding that marriage. A lot of people think it was done for publicity only. But Lisa's book, to me, made it clear that she loved him. And they continued a relationship after their divorce. She still talked to him. If he was that bad and that evil, don't you think she would have broken ties? You know what I think it is? The King of Pop married the King of Rock's daughter. That pushed Priscilla completely out of the picture, didn't it? That's what I think. All of a sudden, she wasn't the talk of the town. It was Lisa and Michael and Lisa. And Priscilla wanted to get rid of him. She didn't want him there. And it was so funny because at the book tour for Lisa Marie's book in Memphis that Priscilla showed up at, that I'm still not happy about, she talked a little bit about how that she got rid of Michael Jackson or not got rid of him, but how when he left, it was like, oh, good, another one's gone, and she even said the same thing about Danny Keough in front of Raleigh, and Danny is Raleigh's father. I don't know if she felt like no one was good enough for Lisa, except she was all for Michael Lockwood, and from what I understand has, they've kept a relationship going. He was at her 79th birthday party. Well, so was Danny, but Danny didn't look very happy, in my opinion. We're going to stop there because I probably don't need to go any further with that. But Michael Lockwood, he was not good for Lisa. And Lisa left him. So instead of taking Lisa's side in the divorce, Priscilla takes Michael Lockwood's side. And a lot of people will say, well, it's because Lisa was on drugs and she had to take the kids and blah, blah, blah. I don't know about all that. I would have to delve deep into some things, and this show isn't long enough for all of it, so I'm gonna move on down the road. But this thing about Michael Jackson exploiting Lisa Marie, some of you may have a different opinion, and if you do, you can write it in the comments below, but I honestly feel like that she loved him, and you got to remember, at this time, when she was with Michael, Lisa was not doing drugs. And she saw, according to her book, him doing drugs, and it had gotten kind of nerve-wracking, and she was worried about it. And he was gone all the time, so they didn't have a lot of their time together. But Michael's family still speaks highly of Lisa Marie. I do not think it was a bad relationship, or it didn't end well. But you know what I'm saying is, I feel like that there was still respect between the two of them, to the fact that she continued to talk to him by phone after the divorce. Do you, do you agree or do you disagree with those sentiments that I have for that? You can say it below. Um, Priscilla sets the record straight on many of the seemingly never-ending tabloid stories. Well, yeah, there's a lot of those. Candidly discussing her relationships with her kids and grandchildren, plus marriages, which I found that interesting. Marriages, I am guessing they are referring to her marriage to Elvis and Lisa Marie's marriages to, Danny, Nicolas Cage, and Michael Lockwood, because Priscilla claims that she's only been married once, and that was to Elvis. And, she was with Marco Garibaldi for 20 something years. So, but yet she claims they never married. And remember, y'all always remember this: California has a confidentiality marriage clause. So if Priscilla and Marco did get married, they could have it where it was confidential and no one would have ever known it. I know there are some photos out there where it looks like they're toasting at a marriage ceremony. Whether it was theirs, whether it wasn't, I don't know. We'll never know, probably. So she's going to be able to ride this horse saying that Elvis was the only person she ever married, and he was the love of her life, probably to her grave. And no one will ever be the wiser whether she was married to Marco or whether she wasn't, unless after she is gone, Marco comes out and says something. And but he's probably had to sign an NDA. But do NDAs carry over after someone's gone? You tell me. I don't know. She's going to talk about, it says in the book, Scientology rumors, substance abuse. Whose substance abuse? Hers or Lisa's? I'm going to guess it's going to be Lisa's. Now, I know this is really just Rhonda ranting about all of this, and I am speculating on so many things here. But have you ever heard Priscilla acknowledge the fact that she was doing cocaine with Michael Edwards? That Lisa learned about cocaine from her own mother and Michael Edwards? Is Priscilla going to address the essay that Lisa talks about in her book by Michael Edwards? I highly doubt it. We'll have to wait and see. But I've got a feeling more strongly than ever now that this book is more to refute Lisa Marie's book than anything else. Because Lisa Marie's book did not paint Priscilla in a pretty light. Quite the opposite. It wasn't totally nasty, but you got the picture. You understood that their relationship was not hunky-dory, to use an old phrase. It was rough. It was rocky. And I think Priscilla is wanting to set the record straight on that more than anything. Why else come out with it so quickly after Lisa's book had been out? I wonder. It's maddening to me that I feel like Priscilla has to constantly one up everything. Lisa puts out a book, or Riley puts out Lisa's book, Priscilla's got to put out a book because she's got to make sure her story comes out. It's just it's a constant cycle with her. The attention gets focused over off of Elvis, and she has to do something to make the focus back on her, to remind people that she saved Graceland, to take the focus off of Lisa. I'm just going to say this, I'm going to lay it out here. If something had happened to one of my children, I would want the focus to be all on them. I would want them to be remembered. I wouldn't want it on me. It wouldn't be all about, oh, poor Rhonda, oh, poor me, oh, no. No. It would be about my child. I would want them to be remembered. And I would be promoting things about them and talking about them. But how often have you heard her say anything really, really kind and endearing about Lisa? It's always, oh, Lisa, she always stuck her foot in her mouth and she would forget, and she would regret it later. Or she would say this and it'd be like, oh, she wished she hadn't have said that. Like, no, just say something kind about her. Do you not have anything kind you can say about her? So if this book passes Lisa, I'm going to be, and I just have like I said, a gut feeling this isn't going to be pretty. Money squabbles, legal wranglings. She also weighs in on the depictions of her in recent movies. Recent movies, okay, well, I can only think of two. The movie that she did with Coppola, and the Baz Luhrmann movie. And we all know that Baz portrayed her as being more involved in Elvis's life at that time than I think she really was. And in the Sofia Coppola movie, here we go. That movie painted Elvis as a monster. I'm sorry, but I don't think, well, how do I word it? But my first review was I didn't think it was as bad as some people claimed it to be, but the more I have thought about it, the more that I have come to the conclusion it's not so much that to me it didn't seem quite as bad. It's what the new generation of Elvis fans took it to be. They're looking at it from a completely new perspective, and they see Elvis as, manipulative and controlling and abusive and all of the things. And Priscilla can say all she wants to, oh, I never meant to portray him in that light. But you did. And it's out there now. And years from now, this movie is still going to be around. Whether you're here or whether you're not, it's still going to be here, and people are going to be able to go and watch it. And the younger generations that knew nothing about his past are going to base their opinions on these new movies that have come out. So this is what I think. If you're going to do a movie about Elvis Presley, please make sure it's factual. Please make sure that it is painting him in the best light possible, that it's showcasing the good and not necessarily the ugly. I know Elvis wasn't perfect. I've never said he was. But people tend to always look at the bad more than the good. I can guarantee you, and from lots of TikTok videos that I've seen and different things by the younger generation, what they focused in on from Priscilla's movie was the bad. The controlling, the manipulation, the temper, the abuse, or, saying all of these things when they don't even know the backstory, but they're taking that as gospel because it's Priscilla's story. Well, there's more than one story to this, as there is in any situation. There's always more than one story. And to get the actual truth of something, you have to have all of it, because the truth normally lies somewhere in the middle. That's all I have for today. I am going to try and do a live video at some point while I am in Memphis. So I don't do lives very often. The last one I did was last year at the Candlelight Vigil. And that quality was horrible. It's like I'm sitting there in the dark. But I will try to do some type of live stream while I'm there. And we can maybe just to fill you in on what's going on and what I've seen. Maybe I can do something at the complex or whatever, and we can chat for 30 or 40 minutes back and forth. So I would love to do that, and I hope you all will join me for that live stream. So until next time, y'all remember, you only get one shot at this life. So live each day to the fullest, because you never know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Hope to talk to you all next week at Elvis Week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.